Let's have a look at the almighty difference between enlightenment and what is. First, here's the story of enlightenment. There is an appearance of a someone who comes across someone else who's pointing to enlightenment. They are saying it's realizing yourself as bliss consciousness. If you are silent and still enough, and just say you're one of the lucky ones. I considered myself one of the lucky ones. There was silence and stillness. From here came bliss. Lots and lots of bliss. And a sudden seeing at how everyone's problems stemmed from believing in the illusory content of their thoughts and not seeing the pure, empty, still consciousness that was holding the content. And this included identity. There was no real identity. It was just empty consciousness. Oh, how wise I was and loving to students. My empty blissful consciousness was equal to the big empty consciousness. But here's the thing. This is a story of I want what the guru's having. Whether it be Ramana or Nisargadatta or any other guru.
I want what he's having. I now want what he's having too.
But let's take a look at enlightenment for the moment, because it's the ultimate happily ever after story, isn't it? You are the winner if you are less triggered than everyone else. Nothing bothers you, still, silent, and in so much bliss, not too much annoys you. And when you're on this seat, well, not too much does annoy you. It's the ultimate bliss seat, and everyone wants what you're having. And if they don't have it, well, there's plenty of exercises and work for them to do. The other non-duality is a complete paradigm shift. It's so gobsmackingly different, it's impossible to comprehend. And instead of seeing a non-compromising presenter of non-duality and saying, I want what he's having, there's
I absolutely do not want what he's having.
Because they aren't having anything at all. Even if someone says,
I don't want to be a somebody with a me. I want to be a somebody who has no me at all.
it still kind of leaves you as a somebody. And the paradigm shift of non-duality is that when the me drops, it's seen there is already no one anywhere with the me in the first place. It's seen no person awake and no one unawake, no one to convince, no one in the wrong. It's always just what is. Although it just so happens to be super funny to see characters saying they have it and that you need to get it. Get what? Here's the brain. Here's a synapse firing, from which there is a projection of consciousness, not actually there, but projected as there, and an identity, not there, but also only projected as there. This fella in here isn't there. This field of consciousness, not there. Funnily though, the brain doesn't just project a screen of consciousness upon which it puts an identity. It projects itself as a real identity here and living in time. It can even project an identity of a real God out there, who would also have to have this illusory projector with its illusory screen of consciousness, so it could recognise a you and know whether you've been good or not doing any made-up naughty deed. Or some project this here as what gets reincarnated. And some even project, if they're into panpsychism, that every object has one of these things. Rocks, plants, which is kind of odd considering you really need a neocortex. But anyway, and of course there is the projection that this is the link to the source of all. Consciousness is behind everything, and it's your job to find it. It's such a tempting quest, isn't it? Find the source of all and be a winner. The problem is that this isn't there, yet we're told, dive deep, keep going inside. You're not taking this seriously. You need morals. You need to surrender more. You need to let go. How can an illusion of self find this illusory screen we call consciousness? It's a bit like asking a rainbow to find a mirage in a desert. On the flip side, how can you convince the illusory consciousness that isn't really there? It isn't there. It's like someone looking into a mirror and not getting the reflection isn't anything but an appearance. It's not real. There aren't really two bodies here. It's only the mirror that makes it seem like there are two. Just like it's only the illusory sense of consciousness that makes it seem as if there is duality. So, how can you convince the illusory consciousness that isn't really there, it isn't there? Well, non-compromising non-dual presenters don't bother trying to convince anyone, because there already isn't anyone, but they might share the joke of it and share the paradigm shift. It's been difficult, hasn't it? Trying to have this illusory identity, find this illusory screen, to become one with the screen, and then project this screen onto everything and be oneness itself. It's not just difficult, it's impossible. So, instead of awareness or consciousness being the solution, possibly it's the very thing creating a false duality. There is no real duality in the first place. It's already wholeness. That's quite funny, isn't it? When so many are working hard to expand their consciousness or raise their consciousness or realize their consciousness as amazingly divine and special, and it's not even there. And the non-compromising non-dualists, however tempting it might be, can't really say how utterly wrong it is of the gurus to keep their flock bowing to them as a means to become one with consciousness, because the paradigm shift is so radical. It's seen that there are no gurus pointing to a false solution, because that would be giving them a consciousness and a choice and a separation they don't really have. The me drops and there is no one. If it doesn't drop, there is still no one. It's all theatre. It's always theatre, and there are no actors who have realised anything. Everyone can only stay in character, because there is no one with their own autonomous consciousness, no real actor behind the character that's being played. All this spiritual drama about some being awake to themselves as enlightened consciousness is just more theatre, and non-duality is a comedy. It might be an upsetting comedy for the imagined self in the imagined screen of consciousness who's wanting enlightenment, or wanting to become all-knowing, or wanting permanent bliss, or wanting this to be their true self, and assume this illusory consciousness is the absolute. But it's wholeness already. Wholeness doesn't have a projector projecting illusory consciousness with an illusory knower creating illusory duality. It's just what is, whatever that is. And it isn't beckoning you to wake up or to come home. There is no you to wake up or be beckoned home. Wholeness is already home as what is. That's why non-duality is such good comedy. There's been no real separation in the first place. And looking for it in consciousness is like mistaking the moon for its reflection in water. Gorgeous, isn't it? I love non-duality. Even though there's no such thing as non-duality. That just makes it even funnier.